everyone, Wylock here. Welcome back. Sorry to have been away for so long. I have need in an upcoming session for a water weird. Probably going into the Whorlstone tunnels, and there's a pool in there with a water weird in it. I don't know why this is different than a water elemental, but I imagine if I ever need one, I'll just use this same model. Anyways, I'm going to kitbash some parts, use some hot glue for sculpting, and just make a new miniature. So let's get to it. Gonna just go straight from the art in the monster manual for this. So it has kind of a pointed reptilian shaped head, some ridges along the back, and some lashes. Other than that, it's a big water tentacle. So actually the whole idea for this project came as I was working on some Kroot carnivores for my Warhammer 40k Tau army. The heads are a pretty good match for the shape. So I'm going to use one of those, not sure about the spikes yet, so I'll keep those on for now. And then for the body, it seemed kind of Tyranid-ish, so I pulled out my leftover bits and started perusing, just looking for ideas, and I settled on using this carapace, this rib cage, and 2 arm talons. Setting all that aside for a moment, here's the base. It's a 40mm, not a 2-inch, but I've found that I like basing my large-sized creatures on these. It scales well aesthetically. And here's some thick, flexible metal wire. Sometimes you can find bundles of this at the crafting store in the beads section. Paperclip will also work. So cut and bend the general shape of the creature, and then start adding beads of hot glue until it's as thick as you'd prefer. Next, I attached the head, and it turns out those spikes do need to go, so I chopped them off, and then rasped the cut area with my knife to smooth it, and then hot glue it to the body. Likewise, the carapace, clean up the underside of that and glue it along the top. And then along the entire body, not adding more glue, just letting the heat of the nozzle slightly remelt and drag it around to texture the body. So here it is so far, and then it's time to attach it to the base. And texture up the base in the same way, just teasing hot glue around. Now these talons, I attached basically where they would be in the source image, but I don't know, they just didn't look right. I also decided not to use the rib cage at this point. I think the angles just don't make sense or something, but since the rest of the piece is curved and it's made of water, I tore those off, and then I noticed these whips in my Tyranid Warriors leftover bits. Chopped off the arm and glued the whips in place, and I think that's much better. Then it's out to the garage to spray prime. I like Krylon matte. Painting, I'm once again going to use Vallejo, who I've talked about before, and they did send me these paints, but again, you're literally seeing them being used in real time, so I think the performance will speak for itself. I will reiterate, I'm very happy with them, so if you're looking for quality miniature paints, you can't go wrong. I love Vallejo. Anyway, to the airbrush, a few drops of flow improver, and then white, and a drop or 2 of water. Mix it up directly in the airbrush pot. If you had spray primered with white, then obviously you can skip this step. I only had gray on hand. But the undercolor is very important for the overall vibrance of the finished model. It really does matter. So these days, I almost always start with a white undercoat, no matter what I'm doing. So first, the base color. This is turquoise, just applied solid. Then to that electric blue. Much lighter application and only top down in a zenithal matter. This will automatically start to pop out all that texture and detail. And finally that dark blue hitting the ridge of the spikes, the undersides of the body, and maybe a few spots for interest. Here it is so far, gradient's looking pretty nice, but I want to enrich it, so Army Painter Blue Tone. For as much as I love Vallejo paints, I gotta say, Army Painter's washes are the best. They are beautiful, and I harped on this before, like back when we did the ping pong ball beholder scratch build. I'm just gonna use them again here. So this is a neat application, just a soaked brush, but other than that I didn't dilute the wash, just straight out of the bottle. Yeah, insta detail, liquid skill. Here it is wet. It's going to take about an hour to totally dry. And lastly, back to that electric blue with a small dry brush just to pick out the highlights. Edge highlighting would of course be the ideal here, but I rarely have the patience for edge highlighting, especially on organic looking models. I usually just dry brush. Real light, going around picking out the high points and the hard edges. And finally, the base rim. All my D&D miniatures just get a classic black rim. Now in a moment, I'll show you this guy in context in the Whirlstone tunnels, but real quick, all the obnoxious YouTuber 101 reminders, like, subscribe, reminder bell. Want to support the channel totally free? Use my Amazon affiliate links in the description below when you buy stuff. Totally transparent to you, the only difference is that I get a small kick from Amazon for having referred you. Our sponsor is Heroes Horde, an outstanding source of models for you 3D printers out there, including but not limited to all TrueTiles lines. And don't miss my D&D 5th edition one-shot modules over on the DM's Guild. Alright, so here's room 9 from the Whirlstone tunnels from the Out of the Abyss campaign. So this murky pool is in the middle of this room, and it splits it into a left path that ramps upwards, which I'm using my generic crags to simulate, and that goes into the tunnel beyond. And the path on the right stays at the level of the water and goes down underneath, which is not shown. And for good measure, here's 3 of the characters that are in my party. So there's a half-orc sorcerer, a halfling rogue, and a dragonborn druid. Here's the water weird, pops out when they enter, can command the pool as a geyser, all the notes are in the book. It's a nifty little encounter, good way to kill a half hour. Man, I just love that paint. Such a vibrant result. Again, white undercoat and then using good quality paints. So important. So yeah, I'm ready to run this encounter next week. I'm excited. So relative to the source image, what do you think? Did I nail it or not? And feel free to leave links with pictures of any kit bashing that you've done yourself in the comments below. If you like this particular project, here's 2 more you might want to check out. Also enjoy this community showcase. I'm Wylock, thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.